are. And so we tend to self-enhance our personal biases by putting ourselves in situations that support what our biases already are. So let's talk about affective biases before we go on to the continuity effect. So in affective bias, we tend to organize our life based on genetic and environmental causes. What we mean by that in individual differences is we generate reactions from others, we generate reactions from our environments. You can imagine growing up in two very different places. This is a photograph from my hometown, Dunmore, Pennsylvania. I grew up in a town of 20,000 people. The worst crime that I had ever heard of was like tagging on the side of my school, and the people were caught immediately and they were suspended. So there was almost no crime whatsoever in Dunmore, Pennsylvania. So when I went to a place like Chicago, and I went to downtown Chicago, I was, what is going on here? I don't know what to do. I've been taken out of my element where I've been taught that people are trustworthy and I can feel contented. I don't have to look behind my back. I don't have to watch out. And I've been put in a place where it's a completely different environment. And so it's adaptive to be able to respond thusly in your kind of formative environment. But then when you're kind of displaced into a new environment, those emotional biases can become maladaptive, can not really work well for you because they don't fit the context of the situation. So our environment shapes us as individuals. Now let's talk about particular traits and behavioral styles. Let's start with my buddy Eeyore, who I used to read about a lot when I was a kid in the series Winnie the Pooh. And Eeyore is a gloomy donkey. One of my favorite quotes, it is, "Good morning, if it is a good morning," which I doubt. He's always bummed out, despite the fact that his friends are so positive and uplifting. So again, environment can't really explain Eeyore's behaviors, and genetics can't really explain his behaviors because he's a stuffed animal. But his affective bias is clearly sadness. On average, he's kind of anhedonic. He doesn't experience pleasure in a very strong way, but he experiences negative and sad events in a very strong way. And he's kind of negative and pessimistic even towards his friends who are all really nice to him. He tells people, you know, most people, they don't have brains at all, at least some of them. He has low self-esteem, he puts himself down, and he brings others down too, even when his friends are trying to cheer him up. I'm sure people know some folks that represent Eeyore in real life, but Eeyore is a nice case study for somebody whose affective bias is clearly sadness. So what we're looking at here is on an individual level, we can embody certain emotions more than other emotions. And upon returning to sadness, Eeyore is in this constantly bad mood. The gloomy cloud is always following him. Another case study is our good buddy Oscar the Grouch, and his affective bias is anger. People who tend towards the anger bias are a little bit more prone to tirades and to criticism and defensive